red flags in IndyCar are a relatively new thing. Like that, I think the first instance of this being used in the closing stages of an Indy 500 was around 2014, but it's also happened in 2 other races over the last few years as well. And the idea is that they want to try and preserve a green flag finish. And rather than do what NASCAR do, which is add laps, IndyCar always respect the length of the races. They're not going to add laps. It's a 500-mile race. If they have enough time to throw a red flag with enough time to then restart the race and have a green flag finish, then they'll try and do it. And I'm okay with that. So long as you're not adding anything on or rushing any processes, and that will become relevant. I think that's okay, because whilst races are okay to end under yellow, and they do happen in IndyCar, Dario Franchitti won an Indy 500 under yellow, Tony Kanaan did as well. It's better to have a green flag finish. I think everyone would agree about that. So that was the first red flag. Set up a sort of 5, 6 or 7 lap sprint toward the finish. And then you had Pato O'Ward on one of the restarts. He went for a move up the inside of Marcus Ericsson into turn 3. The move didn't come off. It's up for debate as to whose fault it was. I would personally blame O'Ward and say that it was a bit too reckless of a move, considering it wasn't the last lap and it wasn't for the lead of the race. He made it a bit late, and I think he put himself in a position where he was not left any space. Other people think that Marcus squeezed him. I don't know. I'd blame Pato more. I think he didn't have to make that move when he did.
It was a little tight.
It was a little tight.
But I mean, it's 230 fucking miles an hour.
Yeah. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I think it's coming toward the end of a race. One person's attacking hard, one person's defending hard.
I wouldn't have made the move that Tony Kanaan made through the grass to make the pass.
That was mad, wasn't it?
But it never lifted at all.
That was kind of out of necessity rather than desire. But...
but I mean, it just, I wouldn't have done that. But, I'm also not fucking Tony Kanaan.
No. So that contact between Ericsson and O'Ward put O'Ward up into the wall. You then had a secondary accident after that where Scott McLaughlin ran over the back of Simon Pagenaud. Augustine Canapino was included in that, and he ended up rolling into the back of O'Ward's stricken car. The belief is that he severed a brake line and couldn't stop.
That's what it looked like. It looked like a...
He turned very late. It looked like he realized the New Garden was there a little bit late, but I don't know.
I mean, you're sitting low in these cars. How far ahead can you really see?
I would hope that far.
You're right. Yeah, you're probably
I don't know.
Right.
It's
but
weird.
I mean,
we don't really know what caused it. I hope, like I said, the belief is it was a brake failure of some description. I hope it was that. But everyone was okay from that, but it caused another red flag. That's the second one. At this point, we're all thinking, we've got so little laps left now. The next one's got to be...
There was like 3 laps left, right? 3 or 4?
Not yet. No? Not yet. So there was about 6-ish laps left at this point. They then had another restart after everything was cleaned up. And before they'd even really got to the start line, a couple cars at the back wrecked. Ed Carpenter, Graham Rahal, and one of the Andrettis. I don't remember which. They just ran over each other at the back of the field, and that brought out another red flag. Now, at this point, there were 3 laps to go. Not enough time, you would have thought. In fact, even all the commentators were starting to say Marcus Ericsson has won the Indianapolis 500. He had just snuck into the lead in the time it took for the green flag to come out before they wrecked. So he had just snuck ahead of Santino Ferrucci. There was a little bit of a debate as to who was in the lead at the time. Santino Ferrucci seemed to believe he was in the lead of the race and promptly went side by side with Ericsson as they were heading toward the crash on the start-finish straight. Another great thing to add to his glittering repertoire. Nevertheless, they called a red flag. There was a delay to it, so they had a full lap under caution, eating up another crucial lap before they brought out the red flag again. At this point, nobody really knows what's going to happen. Like, they're trying to preserve a finish, and it just didn't seem like there were enough laps left. all throughout the race so far, whenever you were coming back to green to take a restart, you needed multiple laps to build up tyre temperature. You needed multiple pace laps. You couldn't come out of the pits and go straight to a green flag, surely. Well, that's what they did. IndyCar let them come out of the pits after the red flag, had one warm-up lap straight from the pits, and then went straight into the final lap of the race. Marcus Ericsson was leading. They got Ericsson and Newgarden got a hefty jump on the pack behind them. Meanwhile, at the back, multiple cars are side by side before the green flag has even been called, before Ericsson had even gone. But for some reason, that was a legal start. They didn't wave it off like they did with Pato earlier on. So that's another rule or thing that they've ignored to try and have a one-lap sprint.
It was really weird and kind of confusing to watch.
It was very Formula One Abu Dhabi 2021 for me. There was technically, and I've seen this said from people who know the IndyCar rulebook better than I do, technically no rules were broken or contradicted, but a lot of preconceived precedent was broken. For example, the fact that the start was so disorganized. A couple laps before, Pato O'Ward was in the lead of a race on a restart. They didn't like how the restart was formed up, so they waved it off. If they'd waved off this restart, that would have been the end of the race. So did they just change what they considered a good start just to keep it green?
Manufacturing the end?
Seems a little strange.
Wanting a good race. And it's even more strange that Roger Penske's team that he owns won a race in the series that he owns on a track that he owns.
This is the thing. A lot of people are genuinely seriously saying that, and I don't think that is...
I don't think it's the case. It's just it's a funny thing to think about that he owns the car, the series, and the track.
It's the can of worms you end up with opening when you do stuff like this. And I want to. I don't think anyone from IndyCar is listening. We are only a small podcast after all.
We are.
But I do want to.
Will Power likes our shit on Instagram.
He does. That's a good point.
Will Power might be listening.
He might.
And if you are, we would love to have you on the show. Tell us how this fucking thing worked out. Because we don't know.
Yeah, but I would like to make a plea to IndyCar. IndyCar for me, and I've been saying this all year, and I will continue to say this for years to come, I think, unless they keep going down this route. IndyCar succeeds because it isn't what other series are. You know, you compare it to Formula One, and it's a lot purer form of racing. The cars are a lot closer, the racing's a lot better. It's just more honest. It's not NASCAR because it's not full of gimmicks like overtime finishes and stage racing. You know, it's just racing. However, the decision to try and go for a manufactured green flag finish at all costs, green flag finish to the Indy 500, it felt very Formula One. It felt very much in keeping with what a lot of other series are trying to do right now, which is prioritizing entertainment at all costs rather than sporting integrity. And it's such a shame that after what was an incredible race, we're left with the sour taste in the mouth of what felt like an overly dramatized manufactured finish. Because
This is Into the Apex Motorsport Podcast Network.